Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Good to have you here on another devotion. I'm just out on a walk. It's kind of a cloudy, damp September morning. And it's Tuesday when I'm recording this, and I just came back from couple of shows over the weekend which were amazing. And for those of you who don't know what I do, part of this ministry is going out and playing events where we can, kind of talk to people about Jesus, sing about Jesus, and share his hope and his love. And then the other part is doing devotions and studying the Word and studying who Jesus is and how we can make him part of our life, reflective in our lives. And so I come off of this really good weekend of shows. We saw a couple of people actually come to Jesus on Friday night, and then I drove. Sorry, there's a squirrel wreaking havoc up in this tree. And then I drove up to Maine and played another show. So that Friday night was kind of amazing. And sorry. That Friday night was amazing. And then Saturday, I drove up to Maine. It was an 8-hour drive. Played an event for an organization that is working to get kids food and clothing and Bibles in Haiti in the midst of the mess that is Haiti. I didn't realize what a mess it still is and what's going on down there. But it's still a mess. And there are underground churches, it's insane what they have to go through to experience the gospel down there. And then I finished that show, drive 4 hours to Boston, stay at a hotel, and then drive another 4.5 or so on Sunday morning, get home. I'm completely spent because the gigs are one thing. That's certainly part of the thing that makes me tired. But the driving, when you're pulling 20 hours in 2 days, it's pretty intense. And so I say all this to say I got home, and then I find out that, let me just go over here by this river and we can chat over here. But I'm looking at ticket sales for a couple of shows that are coming in this week. And, we're at 7 tickets sold for one show on Thursday. And we're at 13 tickets sold for the show on Friday. So I ask myself, what the heck? And so we decided to cancel both of the shows. And I had a co-promoter on the one on Friday night, and he was like, man, I don't know what is going on. It's just a mess. So we canceled those 2 shows. And I'm pretty frustrated, pretty down about it. I hate canceling shows. And I look at you can't have Christian music events without Christian music supporters. And then I'm leaning into this well, is it me? Is it just because people don't care anymore? What is this all about? And now I'm trying to book shows for Christmas, and they're not coming in as quickly as I would want them to. And look, I get into this often as a solo artist with no one to go back and forth with. It gets frustrating sometimes when I'm running this thing. And so after a week like this, I kind of I start, of course, questioning what it is that I'm doing. And then we did a Bible study. You can even hear it in my voice, man. I am just so wiped out. And then we did a Bible study last night in our member area. And 4 people show up. And for me, that's like, hey, good morning. Hey, buddy. That cute dog. And 4 people show up, and I asked those 4 people, I'm like, so, should we keep doing these live? Like, does anyone care? And of course, the 4 people that are there say, yes, of course, we should do these live. This should be part of our weekly routine, blah, blah, blah. And then the other part of me is like, what are we doing? And I'm just being honest, like I'm just being real. Like these are just some of the struggles that we go through, or I go through, when you're running something like this, and with no label. I look at all these other signed artists, and I'm like, man. And sometimes I deal with these artists, and they're like, yeah, let me get with my team and see what they say. And I'm like, oh, a team, that would be wonderful. Welcome to the life of an independent artist. And so anyway, I don't want to use this as a forum to vent, but I get into all of that, all of this frustration. And I'm looking at, last night, and then we have this incredible Bible study, and we're talking about the end of the end of Matthew chapter 27, where it's the death and then the burial of Jesus. And the thing that we kind of get into was, the thing that really stuck with me this week was the veil being torn on that day that Jesus died. And so growing up, through all of the Sunday school classes that I went to, through all of the Bible studies that I did as a teenager, through all of this stuff, never learned about the significance of the veil and what this meant. And so we're digging into this and we're studying this, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, wow, this is kind of amazing. The veil was like this 30-foot, maybe 40-foot, whatever, 50-foot kind of heavy. The only thing I can equate it to in my own visualization is like this heavy curtain, like a velour curtain that you would see at like a hotel or something. And so this veil, but it gets torn from the top down. So it can't, so it's not like someone can go up there, tear the veil, and then people can come back and say, oh, the veil was torn by a person. This has to be an act of God. And the veil separated the common people from the holy temple, where only the holiest of holies could go into. And so this veil tears, and let's say you have a 30-foot tall curtain, and it tears from the top down to the bottom. The opening that this tear would make is massive. And so we have this situation where Jesus on the cross is dying for the sins of the entire world and dying for us. And then we have this veil that's torn that now gives anyone access to this holy place. To basically, one of the references that we found was there's no longer an intermediary between us and God. The veil was torn, and now we have access to the holy place. And I found that kind of fascinating. And the width of the tear didn't make it so it was just this little tear. It made it so that like anyone, any size can fit through that and have access to the Father. And then we got a little bit into like who was at the cross when Jesus was crucified, like who were the people there? It was everyone, every race, color, creed, whatever. I mean, it was everyone, which meant that his crucifixion and his death was meant for everyone. And the result of it was meant for everyone, right? So I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking about our 4-person Bible study yesterday, and I'm thinking about shows canceled this week, and I'm thinking about like all of this stuff. And then I am out on this walk this morning, and I'm listening to, you guys know that I listen to the Dwell Bible app, which is basically an app that somebody reads the Bible to you, basically. And then there's some soothing music in the background. It's really, really nice. So if you need an app to listen to the Bible, not read the Bible, listen to the Bible, and read as you listen, kind of. I highly recommend the Dwell Bible app. It's really, really great. So I'm listening to it, and I select this playlist of wisdom, and it was all this stuff from Proverbs. And so I start on Proverbs 1:1, and we go through chapter 1, we go through chapter 2, and we get to chapter 3, and the first couple of verses come on, and then this verse, this set of verses that I've taught to my kids for years, and I'm supposed to be listening to, comes on, and I hear it in a whole new way, and I'm like, oh, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will keep your path straight. And then the next verse is talking about wisdom, like don't be wise in your own eyes. And I stopped the playback and just started walking silently for a few minutes, and I said, Lord, I said, in the midst of the disappointment of the week, bottom line is that this is not mine, this is yours. And I have such a hard time with letting go of things and trusting and having faith, and yet another lesson in it all today. So the part of this that just continues to come around to me is, yeah, the veil was torn. This is access for everyone, not just for the select few. And what is my role in the midst of teaching, telling people about the hope and the love of Jesus? And my role is, right now anyway, it looks like it's playing these live shows and talking about Jesus at these shows and seeing people's lives transformed through the message of Jesus, not through anything that I'm doing, but through his spirit moving in the room. And for me, that is such an incredible honor. And I'm trying to come to grips with, okay, so if shows aren't coming in, how do we do that? And I actually don't have an answer right now. But that's where the trust and the faith comes in. And so we're just going to let God move in the midst of this season. And it's incredible for me to even think about this, because I'm in a position where I probably have more events going on than I don't even want to compare myself to other people. But yet I get into this place where I'm just like, oh, if I don't see stuff happening past a certain date, then I get into this, it's all coming apart. So all that to say, maybe take a minute today. And this is just an honest, real moment, and a moment where I'm just struggling with all this morning. And so maybe take a minute. What does this look like in your life? Where does your faith come into play? Where does your trust come into play? How do you even let that seep into your soul? How do you let Jesus be reflected in your own life? And what does that look like? And so I'm here this morning wrestling with this. And I think it's a good wrestle. Like, I think it's it's a healthy thing to do every once in a while. Not too often, but every once in a while, to just say, oh, right, God, you're in control, not me. And I talk about this almost every night on when I'm playing these shows. In that song, Me, I just say, help me to be the me that you want me to be. But that requires faith and trust and surrender. And we talk about faith and trust and surrender a lot on these devotions. And I think we talk about it a lot because it's such a hard thing for us to come to grips with and a hard thing for us to do. And it's hard for us to surrender. It's hard for us to just say, Jesus, you've got this and I don't, and our humanness, our frustrations battle against that other desire in us to let it all go and to let Jesus just do his thing. So this morning, what does that look like for you? I certainly know what it looks like for me, or part of it. And I know that I get annoyed and frustrated sometimes with it all. And so what does that look like for you today? I'm going to continue working through it. I'm not giving up. That's just not an option because there's too much going on that I want to do, and there's too much going on in the midst of these events and the music and the worship and all that stuff. But I was listening to another artist this morning, and he was talking about when you're stuck in these moments of, I have this, and this to do, that's all well and good, but end of the day, bottom line, really core principle stuff, just let God in to all of it and let him be the one who's in all of it. And so today, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understandings. In all your ways acknowledge him. Yes, absolutely. And do not be wise in your own eyes. Yep, absolutely. But core principle in the midst of all of it, just let God in. And that's what I'm trying to do today. I'm trying to put my pride, my ego, all of my agenda behind me so that I can let God be God in the midst of all of it and work on more of the surrender part of this to him. So sorry to vent a little bit, but I have no one else to vent to. So I vent to you guys. So welcome to the inside, behind the scenes frustrations of an independent Christian recording artist in 2023. All right, so if you want to join us, please do head over to joindaysband.com. That's an incredible way to keep this thing going, and it's something that I rely on every single day. I just rely on our members, and I rely on you guys to help me do this every day. Okay, so that's that. Joindaysband.com. But go check out Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 today. I know we've spoken about that verse more than enough on these devotions, but it's amazing, and you have to keep coming back to it. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart. Okay, I'm going to go try to do that. Enjoy your day, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.